Welcome back to another exciting episode of Two Guys, One Ballot, where two ordinary guys
full of hubris
give you their view on one policy issue on your ballot. This episode is part of our series called Ballot to the Future, where we talk about something that you're about to vote on in the election just weeks away in Colorado. Vote today on our issue, Proposition 118, the Paid Medical and Family Leave Initiative.
A yes vote on Proposition 118 means the state will create an insurance program to provide paid leave benefits to Colorado workers. The state will establish a new benefit program that will allow covered Colorado employees to take up to 12 weeks or 16 weeks in some cases of paid time off from work for qualifying reasons to have a portion of their wages replaced based on a progressive wage replacement formula.
Okay, but how does one qualify to use this leave?
To get the paid time off, you have to be caring for your own serious health condition, caring for a new child during the first year after birth or adoption, caring for a family member with a serious health condition, have a family member who's in active duty military service or is called for active duty military service, or if you or your family member is a victim of domestic violence, stalking, or sexual assault.
Do all businesses have to be part of this?
Not all businesses. If you have an existing paid time off program, you can be excluded from this. If you have 10 or fewer employees, you can be excluded from this. Or if you're a local government, you can also get out.
All right, the first pro argument for why we need this is that it's a moral imperative. Our workers need this, and it's healthy for the state. One of the big categories of people who will use this is new parents. The birth of a child is something that requires time away from work. This will give people the ability to take time off from work, but also to get paid at least some of their wages while they're taking care of their new baby. And I think that's the right thing to do. Almost everybody in the state at some point in time is going to deal with someone in their family getting really sick or some other traumatic event that none of us can predict. Putting a program like this in place gives us all a little bit of protection. That's possible, but actually this is part of a national trend, and that brings us to the second pro argument. This is happening all over the country, and Colorado can't be left behind. There are already 8 states who have adopted similar legislation, and that includes places like Washington and Oregon and Connecticut, and there are dozens of other states with pending legislation just like this. So this is happening all over the place, and proponents are saying it's coming in under budget in those other states. So everybody's doing it, and we can afford it.
Russell, proponents can say whatever they want, but everyone who studied this says this is going to be dramatically underfunded. Colorado Common Sense Institute, Denver Metro Chamber, and something like 10 other organizations all studied this. They looked at other states, and they said this is probably going to be 50% underfunded. Now, there's a big difference between what we're proposing here in Colorado versus what other states have done, and that's this hugely expansive definition of what is family. It's basically anyone you have a significant bond with.
That's right, the definition of family member is so broad. Significant bond, and it doesn't have to be a blood relative or even a legal relation. I mean, I have a significant bond with you through Two Guys, One Ballot, and if you get really crazy again and decide to ski another blue run and hurt yourself real badly, and maybe even die, do I get to take off time from work to celebrate?
Russell, there's an even more important argument, which is that we're creating a giant bureaucracy. The state is going to have to allocate $40 million to build the system, and they say that once this is up to full staffing, there's going to be almost 200 employees working in a new department. Now, for people that interact with government, generally these things are just unwieldy. They grow, they never shrink. And look at Colorado Para. That thing is so underfunded.
That's the retirement thing for Colorado public employees.
That's right. We're leaving our kids in debt because we created this entitlement system decades ago, and lo and behold, we don't have enough money to pay for it today. This sounds like just another one of those systems again.
All right, so you've heard some pro arguments and con arguments. This fly's landing on you because your arguments are so stupid and dead. But let's talk about the impact on business. Nearly every metro chamber that has come out with a position on this has come out against it. And frankly, there are really few business advocacy organizations that are for it. It's really mostly business organizations saying that this is a bad idea. Sasha, you're an entrepreneur. You've run small businesses. without any drama, do you think this is bad for workers? And is it good for small businesses or bad for small businesses?
I think it's marginally bad. This is a relatively small tax. It's just one more thing for an entrepreneur to keep track of, and this stuff is tough. So will this bankrupt companies? No, it's not going to bankrupt companies. Will this cause worker wages to stagnate and for costs to grow over time? Probably.
So those are a bunch of reasons you don't like it. I still think that there's a compelling case for somebody who gets really sick, and if they have a job where they're not going to be able to get paid medical leave right now, this will give them some hope. When you're sick, when you're hurt, when something has gone really wrong in your life, sometimes you just need a few weeks of help to get by, and this program will provide money so that people won't be put in desperate situations.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we should have a program to help people, but I'm not a fan of creating more and more welfare systems that are tied to employment. What I would advocate for is a universal basic income, so that if you're a low-wage earner and you get in a bad spot, you just get a check from the government and you can spend it on whatever you want.
Sasha, how are you going to vote on this measure?
I'm going to vote no because I don't like the bureaucracy that this creates.
I'm going to vote yes, and I'm not really sure that this is a great idea. But on the whole, I think it's better to push companies to offer these kind of benefits on their own. And for the ones who won't do it, I'm okay with the government charging a 0.9% tax on wages in order to make this available to workers in Colorado. But we want to hear from you, right, Sasha? Yeah, Sasha needs to hear from you. If Sasha's wrong, write it in the comments. If I'm wrong, just don't
worry about it.
I'm not, so don't worry. Bye. What I would advocate for is we were supposed to do shorter videos, and now if I'm going to respond to that, we're going to end up in a wormhole.
Looks like I win. And I got the final word on this one. Thanks, everybody.